What's up, gamers? Welcome to Gamer Rant. My name's Kevin. In today's episode, we're talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Devs address blowback over game's historical inaccuracies.
Downloadable content.
Microtransactions.
DRM.
Pre-order DLC.
Dislocked content. Blind. Stupid fucking fanboyism.
In its statement, Ubisoft developers specifically addressed our Japanese players who have criticized the game for claimed historical inaccuracies in the flub that included Chinese subtitles in a video for Assassin's Creed Shadows. We acknowledge that some elements in our promotional material have caused concern with the Japanese community, developers said. In a statement for this, we sincerely apologize, but developers at Ubisoft also stressed that, well, they have put significant effort into ensuring an immersive and respectful representation of feudal Japan. The developers' intention has never been to present any of our Assassin's Creed games, including Assassin's Creed Shadows, as factual representations of history or historical characters. Assassin's Creed Shadows is first and foremost designed to be an entertaining video game that tells a compelling historical fiction set in feudal Japan. Ubisoft explained our team excessively collaborated with external consultants, historians, researchers, and internal teams at Ubisoft Japan to inform our creative choices. You'll see that we have highlighted Chinese subtitles. At the end of the day, I would say that their apology means absolute dick. And here's why I would say this. They are $1 million, and this is just me spitballing a number. They're probably worth more than $1 million, all right? I think factually they are. $1 million company. And you telling me that they still going to put Chinese subtitles in a video for a Japanese-based setting? You're going to tell me that they're $1 million company and they're going to steal the artwork of a Japanese anime, One Piece, a sword, and what? That's because they did this because I guess their game isn't historically accurate, or their games aren't historically accurate and they've never claimed them to be. So that gives you the right to steal artwork from something that already exists, and apparently it gives you the right to not do your job correctly and put Chinese subtitles in there. I mean, this is the epitome of people not thinking about what they're saying before they do it, but this is nothing new to gamers when we see any kind of corporate response to any kind of controversy that comes about within the gaming community, because it's never about truly being apologetic or sorry for whatever it is you did. What it really comes down to is, please still buy our game. That's what this really comes down to, because if they were truly sorry about it, this never would have happened. Editing gamer right here. So another thing I want to quickly mention is that if they were also really sorry about this, what they would have done, regardless of how much money it would have cost them, they would have taken the video down wherever it was and redid it and corrected it properly and re-uploaded it or whatever. In terms of an art book, which is apparently where this One Piece sword is depicted or something to that effect, is that they would have taken the time to be like, all right, this is going to be a waste of money, but let's do it. Let's do the proper thing and let's pull it. But they haven't done that. Even with the other controversy of the flag that they stole without permission, it's still going to be in the art book. There are things that are going to be in the art book that are inaccurate. And why? Because again, this is not about being historically accurate in a fucking book, mind you. This is about money. This is what this comes down to, because if they truly wanted to, they could just pull the product and be like, let's redo it, let's do the right thing. But they're not. This is why their apology is even more full of shit. The art that was literally copied from a Japanese anime would never have happened. And if it would have happened, they would have done the honest thing and be like, let's contact the creators of One Piece. I want to put an Easter egg in it for Zoro's sword. But they didn't do that. This is $1 million company. Like, if I was developing a Japanese game and I wanted to do what I just stated, who would be more successful in communicating with the creators of One Piece or whoever holds the copyright and all that stuff? A big ass company, not me, some indie game developer, which I'm not. I'm just, if I was. That's what we're playing here with. I also find it funny that this article doesn't even mention that. Now let's jump into the next segment down here. At the heart of the minor controversy around Assassin's Creed Shadows are its playable characters, Yasuke and a black samurai, and Noah, a Japanese shinobi. Yasuke's position as samurai has been a source of some debate, and given an apparent lack of historical documentation on the man, a servant of Oda Naga, probably totally butchering these names, I apologize. Some have taken issue with Ubisoft's game naming him a samurai. However, recent widely shared post from Japanese historian Yu Hermeren argues that Yusuke was indeed granted samurai status by Nobunaga. Hira cites Yasuke's stripped housing and sword affected him by Nobunaga, but acknowledges that Nobu's enemies did not view Yasuke as a samurai. Again, I know I totally butchered that name. I apologize. Here's my thing about this, because we can actually go here and we can actually view this bad boy. Translate. All we have at the end of the day is this gentleman's word. Am I saying that he is lying? No, I am not saying that he is lying. But the fact about Yasuke is that there's two sides to this. There are people saying yes, there are people saying no. Technically three, because there's people that are kind of in the middle. But the one thing that nobody is doing is showing proof. Where's the historical documentation? Where's this piece of paper or this book or whatever? Wherever people are getting their information from, where is it? Show us. That will speak larger volumes than somebody randomly tweeting something, regardless if they're a historian or not. Because where did you get this information from? Because guess what? There have been other Japanese historians that say the opposite. So who's right? Who's wrong? Nobody wants to show actual proof of where they're getting their information from. And to me, that seems to be the biggest problem here. Now, the next thing that I will also address is, I've said this before, is that Yasuke, at the end of the day, I think it would have been better that the game just had a male Japanese protagonist. Yasuke was in the game. You came across him, kind of like any other character in Assassin's Creed. And then they easily could have created an expansion pack where you play as Yasuke. Something tells me that would have been far more accepted. But at the same time, what a lot of people are failing to realize in this entire iteration is that there are games developed by Japan that have Yasuke in it. Some even depict him as a samurai, or at least wearing samurai armor. I think that at the end of the day, what people wanted was they wanted a authentic game taking place in Japan with Japanese characters, kind of like Italy. If Ubisoft was going to create an Assassin's Creed game that took place in Russia, do you think people would be happy if they played a German man or woman? Regardless if these two individuals were somehow historically accurate and somehow played a big or large part in Russia's history, should it be something that they should do? Let's go to Russia, but not have Russian protagonists. Let's have German protagonists. And, you know, research at its core, we have Ubisoft, a billion-dollar company. We could also look at Sucker Punch. The Ghost of Tsushima is purely a fictional game, but even they attempted to be historically accurate. So how is it that Sucker Punch, we could say, is a smaller company than Ubisoft, got it correctly, but $1 million company can't even get their fucking subtitles correct? They also apparently want to steal art from a Japanese anime, which ironically that is not mentioned anywhere in this article. Not sure if I've mentioned that already. And you know, this shit isn't hard. I'm working on a fantasy novel, and one thing that I've seen from a lot of readers is they want something a little bit different when it comes to fantasy. They don't want the basic elves, dwarves, that kind of thing. So I sat there and I thought, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look into other cultures, myths and legends to fill my fantasy world with creatures from other types of myth and legends. So here we have, you know, Chinese. And then I have a shit ton of books on Japanese folklore, mythology, specific stories, yokai, tales of Japan. And all of this is to one, because I want to see how they're treated. All right. How does Japan treat these yokai characters? Are they purely evil? Are they always evil? Do some of them, are some good or have good intentions? That kind of thing, which ironically, some yokai are considered both in the evil or good scenario. Good example of this would be the kappa, okay? So, you know, if I, an individual, could go around research, if I want to create a more historical pirate novel, there's books that I could get an actual idea of what actual life as a pirate was like back in yonder window break day. Ironically, if I want to make my fantasy world a little bit more accurately, life in a medieval city, all right? If I wanted to research, you know, feudal Japan, I'd probably try and find a book that was like life in feudal Japan. So I would have a better idea of how it was and how to represent it in my story. Even if my story didn't take place in Japan, but I had characters that were based off the Japanese culture, then that would also make sense for that kind of research. Fantasy reference similar to this, it talks about armor, horses, and whatnot. The point being, I also have other books from modern day weapons to vehicles, all simply because I'm a writer. Research is key, all right, in making your world believable. It is king. This shit is not hard. I can do it. Sucker Punch can do it. Why the fuck is Ubisoft failing at it? And let's just scroll on down here. So let's talk about Yasuke, as I've mentioned real quickly. I don't think he should have been the protagonist. I think it would have been better for them just to release him as an expansion pack. I think that would have been better. I think it would have been far more accepted. Now, at the end of the day, yes, this is Ubisoft's creative decision and choice, so they can do whatever they want. But they also have a history of creating Assassin's Creed games, and the protagonists originate from that country. So what's different about this one? Was it really an artistic representation, or was it just to meet that check mark to get a little bit more money?